3, 4.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is a very special morning this morning, and very shortly we'll be able to see me as well as hear me at the same time. And we are coming out of 90.3 WHPC, and this is a very special program because it is expanded from right now until 10 a.m. And hopefully we'll be able to be seen as well on our Facebook page as well, as we're now working to make sure that many, many people can see us right here, as well as out of 90.3 WHPC, which is an expanded Facebook Live right from the station. And, of course, this is a very important morning, and we want to make sure that everybody can be listening live and to participate. I'll tell you the reason why, because each year, once a year, we come out to you publicly to be able to help us continue our program here. I'm considered a volunteer community person who comes on, like many of us who join us, and help once a year. And so today, in the course of our program, we are going to be appealing to everybody to call in. You can actually call in right now. There's no reason to wait. We've got a lot of time here, but this is the number to take down: 516-572-7438. Please, again, 516-572-7438. Now, let me explain to you why a little bit of a different format today. It's because it's to afford us the opportunity to reach out to all of our many listeners and viewers, to be able to support this station. This station is part of the NASA Community College, and they are training young men and women to take their positions in communications and many other aspects. And this little fundraiser we have today, which allows all of us to call in and make a donation, helps bring the best of equipment and everything that's needed so that they can have a chance to grow up and to be productive persons in so many different ways. And I welcome your support. We're here every Sunday. The station has been extremely kind to us, and we want to show our appreciation. Saying thank you is something very, very big, especially in the difficult time that we are in right now. We're going to be taking the time out to learn about what happened in Poway, the Chabad in Poway, and we'd like to have your participation. So to all those listening, we say thank you, and immediately please make a phone call if you can, and say that we'd like to support us. For those who are on Facebook, we hopefully will be with you to be able to share with us and support us. So let's see now. We as typical of, can everybody, those who are watching us on Facebook, just let me know if you can. Let me just make sure, it's, when you're going live, anything can happen over here. And let's see now. Okay. Can you hear me? Those who are watching us on Facebook, please let me know that you can see us and hear us, as well as, of course, our welcoming to everybody who listens to us on the radio directly from WHPC. And any moment now, we should be able to see. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Let us know if can you see us on Facebook, whether it's through the station or for...
I think Facebook's having a problem today, Rabbi Pearl.
Okay, that was Sean. Sean is our great station director here. Sean, we want to say thank you to you for affording us every Sunday the opportunity to join all the other volunteer communicators. And today we're having a very special marathon, and we're going to be talking about some very serious issues, what happened in Chabad in Poway in California, as well as some interviews on very, very serious subjects. So the perhaps we could go directly to...
it seems to be a Facebook issue. Facebook doesn't like the rain today, so we'll try again in a little while to see if we can go live. But for now, we are on the radio, we are streaming on iHeartRadio, and we hope we can get all of our listeners' support that way.
Thank you very much. Again, let me just start from the top. Everyone, this is Jewish Talk coming to you live from Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and also streaming on the iHeart and the iTunes app. And hopefully we'll be able to join you on, you'll be able to see us on Facebook Live. But if you are listening this is an opportunity, and later on this program will be archived on Spreaker.com. And in case you didn't know, this is Rabbi Pearl. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and all this depends on where you're listening or watching. And today, as I indicated, it is a surprise. We're here now until 10 a.m. So if you have any plans to leave, don't. Cancel them right now. I mean, of course, you can eat your bagels and schmear this morning, but we're here till 10 a.m. for two reasons. First of all, to discuss in depth about what happened in Chabad in Poway, that terrible anti-Semitic act that killed dear Lori Kay of blessed memory, and of course, an opportunity for us to make an appeal for this station. And the appeal, of course, is to help the students have the best of equipment and the best opportunity through the radio, so they too can become qualified communicators of the profession of their choice. And any donation is very much welcome. All the donations, my friends, stay right here at WHPC. It doesn't go to any other areas of the college. So if you call in at 516-572-7438 and make a donation, you can be assured that the money will go for equipment and the expansion and the opportunities given to students just in this division of the community college. It doesn't go to anything else. And I can tell you that we appreciate very much the opportunity. We come to each other, we speak to each other, we see each other every Sunday, and this is an opportunity to call in 516. The number is 516-572-7438. And guess what? All donations are tax deductible. So, again, we would love to hear from you. And any moment now, we're going to continue into our discussions about the anti-Semitic attack in Chabad Poway. And then we look forward to having a very important, timely interview with a Port Washington wonderful woman whose daughter was killed by her daughter's father, and the important new legislation that will offer more protection for children. And later on, we will hopefully to discuss more about gratitude. Is gratitude different for the faithful? So let us begin. During this month, we don't hear music with instruments, but we do hear vocal kind of. And so, in honor of today, let us go to some of this important music.
Ani boy Ani boichiyo Alayle ani boichiyo Ani boichiyo Oya Shir nafshi Oy ayni 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 Yom Moy Ki Yiruchak Mimeni Menachai Mai Shir nafshi
Hi, I'm back, and for those who are trying to see us on Facebook Live, just this morning we seem to be having a technical problem, nothing to do with us. But if you're out there, let us know that. Just see that. Make sure that we are getting it. I guess not. Okay, so let's see now. We're trying our best to get it to everybody out there. Okay, so. The most important thing is this morning, I'd like to address the issue that happened out in Poway, California, the Semitic attack against the synagogue. And I would like to begin with a heartbreaking but meaningful story. A pitiful Jew about to be shot to death by a brutal Nazi guard makes one final request. Allow me to say a few words of prayer before you murder me. His request granted, the Jew begins to whisper quietly. Viciously, the Nazi cries out, "You dirty Jew, what are you saying?" And the Jew says, "I'm thanking God." "You wretched creature," exclaims the guard. "You're at my mercy. I'm about to kill you, and your God can do nothing about it. What in the world are you thanking him for?" And the Jewish person simply answers, "I'm thanking God for not creating me like you." Above all, our hearts are shattered as we go out to the husband, the daughter, the family, and the community of Lori Kay, who was cruelly murdered by a terrorist in a cold-blooded attack on Jews gathered at prayer at Chabad Poway last Saturday, last Shabbat, the final day of Passover. But within the tragedy and the grief, another story has emerged, one that is more powerful than the senseless crime perpetrated. Millions, if not billions of people are being gripped by the heart-wrenching yet formidable words of Rabbi Goldstein, the rabbi of Poway community who survived the attack. In articles and interviews from his hospital bed and at the funeral service, Rabbi Goldstein is relentlessly focusing neither on his pain and his loss, nor on fear and anger, but on his determination to transform this tragedy into a force of goodness and kindness. In a New York Times op-ed titled "A Terrorist Tried to Kill Me Because I'm a Jew, I Will Never Back Down," Rabbi Goldstein writes, "I do not know why God spared my life in my Poway synagogue. All I can do is to make this borrowed time, matter. Who has not been riveted and who has not marveled while watching the rabbi lift up his bandaged fingers, and instead of lamenting the loss of his right index finger, he points to heaven and to all directions and lovingly remembers his father's index finger doing the same." His father, who I am a relative to this Rabbi Goldstein, he taught his son and all of his children to use the index finger to defiantly declare. He said, the rabbi's father would always say, "Use your finger to point in all directions and to sing the song, This is the famous song all of us know. It goes like this. Hashem is here, Hashem is there, pointing in all directions. Hashem is truly everywhere, up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around, here, there, and everywhere. That's where he can be found. Now, in his article, the rabbi writes about his lost index finger. The finger that I would point out God's omnipresence was taken from me. I pray that my missing finger serves as a constant reminder to me, a reminder that every single human being is created in the image of God. A reminder that I'm part of a people that has survived the worst destructions and will always endure. A reminder that my ancestors gave their lives so I can live in freedom in America. And a reminder, most of all, to never, ever, nor ever be afraid of being Jewish. Instead of expressing outrage at this horrific atrocity and blatantly evil anti-Semitism, he declares, Am Yisrael Chai. And from here on, I'm going to be more brazen. I'm going to be even more proud about walking down the street wearing my tzitzis and kippah, acknowledging God's presence. And I'm going to use my voice until I'm hoarse to urge my fellow Jews to do Jewish, to light candles before Shabbat, to put up mezuzah on their doorposts, and to do acts of kindness, and of course to show up in synagogue. Even as the media tried to elicit details about shooting from the rabbi, he insists on continuing to spread the transformative message that little light dispels much darkness. I'm going to take a moment to break and do a little music and see how we continue now and trying to get back, of course. But please remember, my friends, this is Rabbi Pearl, and please make a phone call. 572-7438. That's a number. We're conducting a special Jewish marathon in support of the station, supporting of the station that does an amazing work with the young men and women. I know them. I come to meetings here and I meet the young students. They're full of vigor, full of enthusiasm, full of life, have a tremendous sense of humor, and we want to make sure they have the best of equipment and the best opportunities to grow up to be wonderful young men and women and take their positions in communications. And today, the station has allowed us to go until 10 a.m. 10 a.m., my friends, forget about it. It's raining outside anyway here on Long Island. Nowhere to go. Just stay with us. We're going to have a wonderful interview shortly and to talk about the sad events that happened in Chabad in Poway last week. So, please, this is the number, 516-572-7438. And give us a call right now. Whatever donation you'd like to make, will be very much appreciated. And, please, 516-572-7438. It's easy for us to complain about the young people. We know what happened in California. A 19-year-old, practically a teenager, in a sense, did that terrible event. Well, we must do something to help and show the young men and women that we care for them. And when they know that all of us have helped them to get the best of equipment, the most updated of equipment, and everything is in a working order, this is very encouraging. You know that every year we have our Good Deed Awards for Long Island teenagers. And this year, we want to make sure that the teenagers know that when they're doing something good, we are going to support them and be for them. And it's very easy to complain. This one's no good. That one's no good. Well, we have an opportunity right now to call this station. Please remember, your donation is tax deductible. It goes specifically. Nassau Community College is an amazing college with so many students and so many different disciplines, but at the same time, this is the station, and all your donations go directly to no other place, just right here, so they have the opportunities to do good things and to bring some light into this world. So please, so far the telephones are not jammed, they're open, and you can call us at 516-572-7438. Let's now go to some special music in honor of our expanded program.
La
Hi, I'm back. This is Rabbi Pearl, and we may be back up on the Facebook Live, so all of our regular listeners are more an opportunity to call in. I want to thank Mrs. D for calling in and having the opportunity to support us today. And we're discussing some very serious issues. And the reason why we're here a little longer, we'll be here till 10 a.m. So if you missed a part of our program, we are still going to be here till way beyond the typical 9 o'clock for us to be able to come to you and share our subject matter. But again, a little bit different our format today. We're enjoying the music, special music that can be heard during this particular time of the Sphira. And we're going to have shortly an important interview with a mother, dear mother, who lost her daughter. Her daughter was murdered by her father, and you're going to hear more about that. And it's certainly in keeping with what happened back in California. And imagine that. You see, most people would first be licking their wounds, stopping the bleeding. Rabbi Goldstein, in the spirit of being a true emissary of the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, proceeded to protect the children and his congregants, even while his hands were dripping with blood. It's simply astounding. I'm a relative through marriage, I'm a relative to Rabbi Goldstein, who's the rabbi of Chabad of Poway. It was unbelievable, his response. Rarely do we see such an overt demonstration of positivity and broad vision, such as an incredibly awesome expression, what we call in Hebrew, Kiddush Hashem, sanctify God amongst us all. And that is something that has been part of our tradition of seeking to sanctify God in this world. And I would say a litmus test of a good human being is if their life in their presentation and their view of life brings caring to others. Anything that's the opposite of destruction and mayhem and terrorism, my friends, I have a problem with. It doesn't really sanctify God's name. We're here to give God a good name, and when we do things that the opposite and destroy other human beings, we're giving God a bad name. And so today we're all here together, and we if you aren't able to see us directly at my Rabbi Pearl Facebook, where you can see us right in hello everybody, but you can also go to 90.3 WHPC, which is the actual station's Facebook page, and you can see me there as well. But here this morning, we have an opportunity to seriously look at the events and what does it mean for the United States of America in general. And for those who may be just tuning in, we're typically here from 8:30 a.m. to 9. But today, thanks to this great station who allows wonderful community volunteers to come here at different times throughout the week, a great station. I know the students. I go to the meetings. I'm inspired by the young men and women who are taking their place and learning how to do communications. And that's why we chose this Sunday to go out to all of our listeners and all of our viewers and say, please help this station. It goes directly to this office, to this particular, the WHPC, to the radio station, providing the young men and women the opportunity to have the best of communication equipment and opportunities to become good communicators of positivity in this world. It's very easy for us to look at Chabad of Poway and look at others who've destroyed mosques and churches and done all kind of terrible acts and say how rotten these people are. Today we have a chance to say how great the students are, and we're going to do something to make a difference in their lives so they'll have the resources. It's a great college, and they have many, many departments, and they all have their own funding. Wonderful. But here we have an opportunity, like many of my co-volunteer communicators or hosts, to come to you once a year and make an appeal. Doesn't matter how much, it's just the fact that we must show our gratitude that, not to be, not to sound overly, but the fact that you have the opportunity to listen to me. But that's secondary to the fact that by supporting us today, we're saying to the young men and women here at Nassau Community College who come here and learn and have great direction and great enthusiasm, that there's a lot of people out there who want to make sure they have the best so they can move into their positions in the world. Thank God we're in our positions, we have been blessed ourselves, but why don't we help others as well? And just in case you've forgotten the number, 516-572-7438, 572-7438, and stay tuned as we move on with our program. And so again, when we think back what happened in Chabad in California, one of the most important things that we've seen is this and I'll put it bluntly, we actually saw through the rabbi and the community there an astonishing display of God's sanctification. The best of humanity created in the divine image, while we also saw the worst. Lori Kay, who gave her life to save her rabbi and others in a synagogue. The rabbis, through his actions and his words, exhibit a noble majesty of a dignity of what you and me and all of us, our souls, are capable of doing, which was not to focus on ourselves, but on his calling and a mission, something that we all must remind ourselves of. The truth is, all of us have ultimately, it doesn't matter who you are, what station in life you are, what social, economic level, it doesn't make a difference. You know what? You know why God said it mattered and sent you and me into this world at a particular date? That's called our birth date. Now, guess what? It's really very simple. We only have one mission, is to transform the world. We've been charged with an enormous responsibility and great gift. We, human beings, are the only ones that can change the course of history. Our choices, each and every one of us, can either sanctify this world, or, to put it bluntly, and everybody's into climate control, we can either pollute our environment. When you have terrible acts of wanton murder and terrorism, that pollutes our environment. Yeah. But you and me, dear friends, we don't belong to that. As my story indicated in the beginning of the program, thank God we were made who we are, and we're not made in the image of terrible terrorists and all kinds of mayhem individuals. So can there be anything more motivating than knowing that the destiny of the world, and I would even dare to say the destiny of God himself, is dependent on you and me? Pharaoh gave us Passover, Haman gave us Purim, Antiochus gave us Hanukkah, and the terrorist, I don't want to mention his name, who viciously killed Lori Kay, tragically gave us one of the greatest acts of sanctification in our time in Poway at the synagogue. And of course, this tragedy in Poway teaches us much more than just a story of hate. It teaches us to thank God for not creating us like them. And even more than that, it teaches us that we can and we must change the world that still harbors haters and terrorists. We want to say thank you for those who've called in so far, but please keep those telephones going at 516-572-7438. That is the special number dedicated this morning for you to call in and to offer support. It's all tax deductible. It goes directly to help the station, help wonderful men and women know that the general community cares for them and wants them to be successful in their work. And guess what? We can't rely on anybody else. Each of us have the opportunity to change the world, and your chance is right now. Let's go now to our little music, and we'll be right back.
Winner of the Best On-Air Schedule Award from the 2019 Intercollegiate Broadcasting System. The most variety in Long Island radio.
FM,
HD,
Amazon Echo,
Google Home,
The TuneIn Radio app,
the iHeartRadio app,
and nccradio.org.
This is 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD, Garden City,
Long Island.
New
Hi, this is Rabbi Pearl. I'm back, and you must be wondering, it's 9 a.m. Usually I'm out of here. Well, I'm not out of here until 10 a.m. today, and the reason is because we're extending our program to be able to invite all of our listening audience, as well as those who are watching us on Facebook, to say hello, everybody out there, and I do appreciate everyone who comes in every week. And we're conducting a special marathon in support of the station. From time to time, we pause from our regular program and step back and show our appreciation. So here's a special number to make a donation, 516-572-7438. And all your donations are tax deductible. It helps young men and women learn the professional abilities to broadcast and to train, to be qualified, and to take their positions in this world. An opportunity, and this is what's on my mind is, after hearing all the negative understandably about what this guy did out in Chabad Poway and all the other negative things we hear about young people, I'm telling you here at this station there's amazing young men and women who come and train and are led in a beautiful way, in an uplifting way, to be able to become productive members of society. And we have to show our appreciation. And we're not asking for millions of dollars, just thousands. Whatever. Whatever you like to do is very important. 516-572-7438. We want to thank those who've already called in. And please, I want to look good at the end of this program over here. I mean, give me a break already, you know. I'm just very much appreciative. I want to tell you something. Amongst the many hats that I wear is that I'm on the Nassau County's Family Violence Task Force. And we meet on a regular basis, and we talk a lot and discuss and help and advocate against the domestic violence that we have so much in our society. And basically, what is domestic violence? It's characterized as a pattern of coercive behaviors, including repeated beatings or threats of violence, verbal and psychological abuse, forced intimacy, deprivation, control of family possessions, and progressive isolations. And together with my wonderful members of this task force, we go around and we promote the the awareness of the problem and what to do. And here's some of the things to know that if you are falling into this category of a domestic violence victim. If your spouse, your partner calls you names, puts you down, humiliates you, hits you, intimidates you, shouts, isolates you from your friends and families, shows unreasonable jealousy of possessiveness, withholds money, forces you to have all kinds of who knows what, inappropriate things. Well, if you feel that you're being treated this way, in whole or part, I am not an expert, but let me tell you something. You may be a victim of domestic violence, and you need not to be alone. And let me tell you, there is a special number, and I want to share with you all kinds of numbers this morning here. But when we talk about being a victim of domestic abuse, it's important for us to be aware that you can call 516-542-0404. More about that in a moment. But first, I want to let you know that in the course of our meetings at the Safe Center, I came across an amazing lady who is a mom from Port Washington, who has dedicated her life in response to her story. And my friends, stay tuned. It's worth listening to. This Port Washington wonderful lady, Jacqueline, whose daughter was killed by the girl's father, and the legislation that she's pushing, and all the things that make this story riveting. So good morning, Jacqueline. Are you with us this morning? Hi, good morning, Jacqueline.
Good morning.
Are you on a regular telephone or on a cell phone here?
I am on my cell phone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, just let's be careful because everybody wants to hear you, and just stay close to that phone. I
am.
Thank you so much. We just want to make sure everybody can hear. I've just discussed how I'm a member of the Domestic Violence Task Force here in Nassau County. And at the last meeting, I met you. And you have an amazing story, a very sad story. And we'd like to first tell us a little bit about your daughter, Kira. What was she like? What kind of young daughter give us something about your wonderful daughter of blessed memory.
Absolutely. Kira was 28 months old. She was a silly, happy, giggly toddler. She was fiercely independent. Everything she used to say was, "I do it, Mama, I do it." She loved Elmo, and she loved Mickey Mouse. She loved bubbles. She loved to blow them and catch them. And we used to play in the parks in Manhasset and Great Neck and Port Washington all the time. When she was on the swings, she used to say, "Go fast, Mama." She wanted to go fast. And she was a little daredevil, so every time she went down the slide, she wanted to go down head first. And I was always running after her to try to make sure she was staying safe. And at night, we would get out a soccer ball and go into my driveway, and we'd play soccer. And she was actually really good at it, Rabbi Pearl. I was actually amazed how good she was at kicking it and running after it and getting into a little goal that we had for her.
She
loved puppies. She loved puppies. Anytime she saw a dog, my goodness, she ran over to them and wanted to play with them. And she had the most beautiful blonde hair and blue eyes. And her personality, she was just infectious. I mean, she just literally, her smile would light up a room and it would melt your heart. She made friends absolutely everywhere she went. And I was known as Kira's mom. I don't think I had a name for the first 2 years of her life because everybody just knew me as Kira's mom. That's how much of a personality she had.
So we're talking to Jacqueline. We're just let everybody know that we're speaking now to Jacqueline Franchetti, who is describing to us her daughter, how beautiful. But unfortunately, your daughter's not here anymore in this world. And tell us a little more what transpired and why she's why is she dead?
We were going through a custody proceeding in Nassau County Family Court. And on July 27th of 2016, her father shot her twice in the back, killing her. He then set fire to his house and committed suicide. And her murder was 100% preventable because Kira should never have been alone with him, and she should never have been in an unsupervised visit with him.
How did this happen, Jacqueline? I mean, you talk about you were in front of a family court judge, and the judge gave him custody, or you had joint custody. How did he have your daughter at that time?
The judge gave him unsupervised access. And, you know, Rabbi Pearl, I can sit here and I can tell you I did absolutely everything that I was supposed to do. I left an abusive relationship. I got out. And I got out to protect Kira. And I left when I was actually pregnant with her. And there's a part of the story that we're not told when it comes to family violence. And it's when you leave a relationship and you have a child involved, what happens is you end up in court most of the time. Because abusers, by the way, aren't going to settle. They aren't going to mediate with you. They're going to try to torture you. And the best way to do that is through family court. And when I walked into family court the first time, I thought, my gosh, the judge is going to scream at him as soon as she starts hearing all the stuff that's going on. But I was shocked, and I think just as you would be and many of your listeners, to find out that you actually find yourself as the victims fighting for your lives. And the courts, they compound the abuse. There's an assumption out there by the courts that's completely wrong. And I can't even tell you how many times I used to hear, just because he abused you doesn't mean he's going to abuse a child. They were wrong. He did abuse her and he killed her. And we have to stop this. And never could I have imagined, even when I first thought about this, I mean, how could this be? I'm going into Nassau County Family Court. We're on Long Island. But let me be very clear. Family court protects the abusers and not the children. And that needs to change, and that's something that I'm working on and something that we discussed when I was at the task force with you. And if I can give you just a moment, I want to tell you about Kira's case and what happened. You know, there were a number of people who were involved in her case, and they blatantly ignored documented evidence and every red flag. There were tons of them throughout this. And if any one of the people who were involved had stepped in, my daughter Kira would be alive today. And I'll tell you right now, I miss her every single second of every day. And what happened in my case is not unique. This is what's going on in every courthouse, in every county, in every state across the United States.
So you're saying, Jacqueline, this is a national problem, it's not just Long Island?
Yes. It's absolutely a national problem. And to give you an idea right now, there are 700 plus children, including my daughter Kira, who have been murdered by a mom or a dad while going through our family court system. That's while going through a custody, separation, divorce proceeding. And, you know, those numbers are just absolutely astronomical, and those are since 2008. But there's also a larger picture here that's going on. And 58,000 children each year are being court-ordered into the home of a mom or a dad who's physically, sexually, or emotionally abusing them. These numbers are astronomical. That means that today, and these are low estimates, by the way, Rabbi Pearl, there are 500,000 children today who are terrified to go home. They're being forced into a home with an abuser. And today in family court, in divorce court, 70% of abusers are gaining custody of the children. Our system is broken. And in sexual abuse cases, there's a recent study that just came out, 81% of time, the abusers are prevailing. And these are absolutely astronomical. And to give you a sense, one stat that just absolutely blows your mind, convicted rapists in certain states are gaining custody of the child. This needs to stop.
Jacqueline, what comes to my mind, which really was scary to me, would you say that the actual judges, and not being judgmental about any judge, any particular judge, but are family court judges in this area, are they really equipped? Because I heard an expression one time. A judge said to the mother or the father when they came to complain about this abuse, like, get over it. Are judges really trained? I mean, I know they go to school, become lawyers, or they get training. Is there enough training so a family court judge in particular can deal with this issue?
I think training needs to be completely overhauled and needs to be upgraded. And that's certainly one of the main elements that absolutely needs to happen. And just to give you a sense, and we spoke about this when I was at the task force meeting, I was involved in a federal resolution that passed this fall in Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives. And what it asks is three things for us to do. And one of them, which you just touched on, Rabbi Pearl, is the fact of training. We need to upgrade the training that goes on across the board. The judges right now are not well-informed or well-trained in family violence and in trauma. They do not identify it. And in my case, for example, I was yelled at by the judge. When I came forward each time with the fact that he wasn't following medical directives, wasn't following court orders, that I was being stalked, instead of getting a restraining order, I got yelled at to grow up. And my judge at her last hearing said to me, quote unquote, "This is not a life or death matter. This is a judge in Nassau County Family Court who still presides." She was wrong. My daughter Kira is gone. I miss Kira every single second of every day. We need better training. They need to be better informed, and we need to upgrade this. What we also need, by the way, in New York State is we need transparency and we need accountability around this. Right now, it's the wild, wild west, and there's nothing around us to do that, and we need that.
Jacqueline, Jacqueline, and I'm not interrupting. I just want everyone to know that we're speaking to Jacqueline Franchetti, who I went back and looked up on the news of this. This was a domestic abuse situation that preceded and ended up in a murder-suicide. And we're speaking to the mother, that is Jacqueline, who lost her daughter. I think it was around 24 months or 2 years old. And I saw a picture of Kira. And rather than stepping back and just sulking and licking one's wound, you have now taken on this. You become a leader in trying to change the law and to be for judges to be more equipped and aware of these problems. So where are you up to right now in this legislation on a national or a local level?
Well, thankfully, with the federal resolution, so it's called the Child Safety Resolution. And for those of you who are political aficionados, you can look it up at the last Congress. It's called House Congressional Resolution 72. And what it does is it passed in the U.S. House of Representatives, which was amazing. And it asked for three things. Number one, that child safety become the top priority in any type of divorce or family court proceeding. This is something, Rabbi Pearl, that you and I think most of your listeners would agree, is common sense. But it's not in practice right now. So we need child safety to be the first priority. The second thing, which we just talked about, is training. Everyone involved, judges, people from the forensic evaluators, child protective services, attorney for the children. All these individuals need to be better trained. And the third thing that it asks for is that we use the best research. The CDC came out with their ACE study, which is the Adverse Childhood Event Study. And that is the gold standard of research. It's not being employed enough in family court. So we want to make sure the best research is being put into everything. Now, I will tell you with the federal resolution, we had tremendous support from Long Island and from New York representatives. It was actually co-sponsored by Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. She's in Manhattan. And it was her and a gentleman named Congressman Pete Sessions from Texas who took this forward. But who also joined on from our area, Congressman Tom Suozzi. He was actually the first one to jump right on board. I also met with Congressman Peter King, who was wonderful. I actually sat in his office. We bonded over the New York Mets, by the way. And he was very kind to keep me in his office, and we talked for quite a bit. In fact, we actually took a couple of pictures right on his balcony overlooking the Capitol, which was wonderful to get to meet and know him. Kathleen Rice, Congressman Lee Zeldin, Congressman Gregory Meeks, they all signed on. We had tremendous support from New York congressional leaders. because they know that there's hope and there's a way to go about changing this. And it's so important that we do that.
And we do appreciate, Jacqueline, that you've taken this leadership role. And I remind all of our listeners and the viewers that if you feel that you're becoming a victim to domestic violence on any level, as we discussed earlier on, there is an amazing hotline, and I share with everybody. This is on Long Island. 51, I'm sure in many states across the country, anywhere who are listening and watching us, you may have your own, but here on Long Island we have 516-542-0404. When it comes to abuse, it can be under the name of elder abuse. We know all the scams that will be going on. There's tremendous effort made to emergency room advocacy, and I think everyone should know that you should have a safety plan if you feel you're falling into this kind of abuse. For example, develop a safety plan. If you're still in the relationship, think of a safe place to go if arguments occur. Think about and make a list of safe people to contact to keep them in a safe place. Memorize all important numbers. Make copies of all your important papers like ID, social security cards, health insurance card, passport, birth control. Keep them all in a safe place. Also suggested to establish a code word or a sign so that family, friends, teachers, or co-workers know when to call for help. And Jacqueline, you're an amazing example that not only did you suffer this yourself, but you've taken this on and with this campaign to get legislation and to get more awareness of this. And what would you suggest all of our listeners and viewers should do if they know of someone or themselves? What are your suggestions?
You know, Rabbi Pearl, I get people who reach out to me all the time on social media. In fact, in the grocery store just 2 days ago, at the doctor's office last week, and they come up to me, especially parents who are scared for their child right now. And our court system is so broken right now. We have to fix the system to better protect people. And one of the best things that people can do right now is actually go to your legislators, especially in New York State. Go to your state representative, your state assembly person, and your state senator, and talk to them about what's going on, because we need to bring about legislative changes here. If you're trying to leave a relationship, I will tell you, as you well know, when you leave is the scariest time, and it is also the time when things can go very badly very quickly. So like you mentioned, you do need a plan to leave and to get out quickly so that hopefully you and your children can be safe.
Where can people reach you? Where can people reach you, Jacqueline, to offer their support and the work and help you to accomplish this an important goal for all of us, really?
Absolutely. So I have started a charity. It's named after my daughter. It's called the Kira Franchetti Foundation. And you can certainly reach us at kirafranchetti.org, or you can go and find us on social media and reach out to us there. And Rabbi Pearl, what happened to me and what happened to Kira, it can happen to someone you know and you love. It can be your daughter, your son, brother, your sister, your neighbor, your friend. And I don't want this to happen or be at anyone's doorstep. But, if we can, even if it's not at your doorstep, we need to come together and make changes. Like I said, I never thought this would happen in Nassau County where we live, but it's happening here and everywhere. And I don't want this to land up at your doorstep anytime soon. Thanks.
So everybody listening, we do thank you, Jacqueline. And if you think you are a victim of domestic violence, dear friends, you can call the 516-542-0404. And there are experienced counselors that will help you through the crisis and connect you with the right services that you need. And, of course, on a more confidential, if they're directly to reach out to me, we're more than happy to help you through that. And again, Jacqueline, we want to thank you and wish our condolences on the loss of your dear daughter. But you're transforming this tragedy into a positive opportunity to help so many others through legislation and what you've been doing. And we want to really thank you for joining us here today and wish you success. And we look forward to you coming back and reporting of how it's become part of mainstay to how to deal with this and hopefully to prevent these things in the future. So again, we wish you restoring hope for victims of abuse, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Pearl, for your time and attention to this. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you again, Jacqueline. Wishing you the best. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to our music as we continue our program at 516. This is the number to call in. We're conducting as well a marathon to help this great station. 516-572-7438. I know there's a few lines still available to call in. 516-572-7438. Make a donation, tax deductible. It helps the station. I come to you once a year in this format, and we'll be here till 10 a.m., so you have the opportunity while the music is going at any time to call in. Ladies and gentlemen, for the special time of this month of Iyar, the Jewish month, today's Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month of Iyar has a very special blessing and energy of recovery, and certainly we do need this. Listen to the story of Jacqueline. And of course, we're also our general theme of what happened in Chabad Poway, the terrorist attack against the synagogue. We'll be right back. Here's our music. Hi, it's Rabbi Pearl. Yes, dear friends, I know it's 9:30. Typically, I'm not heard here, and they got rid of me at 9 a.m. every week, but this week we're here till 10 a.m. And I want to say a special shout out to all those who are listening and those who are watching us, and your wonderful comments are posted on our Facebook, and we want to say a special thank you to 90.3 WHPC for helping us each week, like all the community volunteers who come and share in this great station. And once a year we come together to show our appreciation and raise a few bucks that goes directly to the station itself. That has nothing to do with all the wonderful community college with all of its funding and all of its different disciplines. Here it's all about helping young men and women. And instead of just bemoaning the issues, the problems that we have with young people today, as we'll soon discuss, we can do something positive, and they will be encouraged, and they will know that there are men and women out there who care enough and share a few bucks to the station, to this foundation here that's part of the station, to be able to help them. So again, please have this number, 516-572-7438. I don't mind being interrupted. And just go to your phones and make that donation. Thank you. So let's go back to what I call my part 2 on the Chabad Poway and the broader issues that we're dealing with what's happening, what happened over there. I must tell you that let me be honest with you, my friends. What happened, the Rabbi Goldstein, in his conversation with the president and his speech outside and interviews on CNN and dozens of networks and news services and press conferences at the funeral of Lori of blessed memory, Rabbi Goldstein, who is a Chabad leader of power, the rabbi of that synagogue, he made a very important statement, and I think that has to be repeated, and that there has to be a paradigm shift into the education of American youth today. And I believe that the nation is listening. The world is, and the nation is looking for a clear message, because this attack is not only against Jewish people, it was against America. You see, anti-Semitism is not only a Jewish problem. It starts with Jewish people, but never ends. And I'll tell you, look at any other country in the world where anti-Semitism has flourished in the past or the present, you'll see that these regions' terrible abuses, it ends up being terrible abuses of all minorities. In those countries that are anti-Semitic, you'll observe tyranny, bloodshed, and violence. Yeah, that's the litmus test, my friends. When anti-Semitism flourishes, the soul of America is in danger, and the spirit and the future of America is in danger. You see, hate will not only destroy Jewish people, but all good peoples of all faiths and of no faiths, for everybody. And I think it's worthy of me repeating here a very famous little short essay by Martin Niemöller. He said, in Germany, they came first for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews. I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics. I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time no one else was left to speak up. So throughout history, there's been the inaction of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voice of justice when it mattered most has made it possible for evil to triumph. So this is something we have to think about. This hate-driven massacre in the synagogue in California came exactly 6 months after an identical fingerprint of hatred, which was the deadly attack on a synagogue in Pittsburgh. So, again, this is not just a Jewish problem. It's a world problem. And we must do everything we can. In a certain sense, sadly, my friends, I love the United States of America, but we're suffering somewhat. There's something going on underneath. And I had opportunity to meet with the county executive, Laura Curran, an amazing person who understands and listens. And you see, we're an obvious target, like the canary in the coal mine. And we tend to get hit hardest. And there's rabid anti-Semitism. But if we wanted to solve anything, we need a broader perspective. Muslims, Christians, and others have been under siege as well, right? And what happened? Oh, many, many things. So what is the medicine for this plague? In the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, violence was increasing in rampage in America. That was like the days of the Wild West. Ideas for quick fixes, long-term solutions. But I want to tell you something. When President Ronald Reagan was shot, those many years ago, Rabbi Schneerson spoke out about it. And he spoke about what the prescription and the counterintuitive was. And he focused on fixing the educational system. I'm so happy that people are calling in and making these donations. Please, my friends, I know I'm talking and hawking away over here, but I'm also feeling very excited that good people are calling in and showing their appreciation, not just to me, and I thank you for that personally, but I want to tell you something. I'm big into showing young men and women that we care for them. On May 23rd, we are looking forward to an amazing VIP event where we honor the good deeds of Long Island teenagers, and you're all welcome to this. But we focus on the good. So it's easy for me to rant and rave and read about all the negative things, but we have an opportunity to show young people that we care for the good deeds, and that's why people come together. Now this is an opportunity for us on this marathon to help the station. I want to say thank you to those who've called in, and keep it coming. Keep it out. It's very exciting to know that so many people have called in, but 516-572-7438, as I indicated, This is a tax-deductible donation. It goes directly to the station itself. Doesn't go to any other financial needs of the college. This is to help them have the best of equipment, the best opportunity. There's a great station manager here, Sean, and all the wonderful people who work here and those who volunteer here are all in this together. And as I love to say, I go to the meetings each year, twice a year. We come as one big, we call it the family. I won't use the word that they like to use at this great gathering. It's a very positive, upbeating, humorous one, but it's all, and I'm an old geezer, my friends. I see young men and women are so excited about the opportunity to speak on the radio and to learn how to use the machines. We must give them the best machines, the best opportunity, an amazing environment here at the station. And I have the honor and the privilege and the humbled by the chance I get to come to you every Sunday from 8:30 to 9. And here we are a little later because I want everyone to hear about the current events. We've heard from Jacqueline Franchetti about her own personal story when her own daughter, Kira, was murdered by her father, by the child's father, and all came about through domestic violence and the needs to address that issue. And so if you look at this problem and what is happening across the country and in these anti-Semitic acts, I think there's some sort of a plague going on here. So what do you think is a good fit to overcome this plague of hate-driven violence? Think about it. America is divided, right? We all divided. We've got our opinions over gun law restrictions. Yet there is one point that enjoys universal consensus. I think if we are broad-minded, we'll know that gun restrictions alone are not enough. Because the problem is not the gun. The problem is the mind of the person who holds that gun. And I'm not taking sides. Don't get nervous, everybody. You can keep on listening. So I think the real issue starts in the schools. Right? Let's be honest. How much time do we as parents educate our children? The majority of the day and the majority of their life, and through college, through yeshiva, is in those environments, in an educational institution. So perhaps we should look at that again. What has the American school done for the mind of that criminal? Okay, we taught him how human beings first appeared on the planet, but are we teaching our young men and women to be a human being? As we would say in our lingo, a mensch? Do we teach them to respect another human being? And when I spoke to Laura, our county executive, and we were discussing what this problem is, and here's a case where the young man is not, we can't hide behind the excuse of mental illness and this thing and the dark side of the internet. I think what's missing over here is it's a slippery slope. A young man, or God forbid, or anyone who would end up doing such a thing, of an act like this, of murder, has to be the result of a long-term problem, and that is the lack of respect for another human being. And, dear friends, people of position, as we've been reading and hear about, when they violate someone else's space in any form or shape, when there's incivility amongst people, trying to have different opinions, and all they're doing is finding fault and trying to not to hear opinions to learn from each other, but they want their opinion just to shout it down on others. It may be okay, in somewhere in Washington, but let me tell you, there's an effect. And as I mentioned in my synagogue on Shabbos, when the fish starts to stink, it goes rotten first in the head. So I'm sadly saying that if we do not see respect amongst human beings, leaders of the community, all the way down the line, it ends up being because our wonderful young men and women, boys and girls, are watching us. Yeah, maybe watching our iPads and the iPhones, but in between they're watching us around the elderly generation or the leaders of the generation. How do they conduct themselves? Are they talking with decency to each other? Do people in position of employment and all the other abuse that we hear about and all the other things in Hollywood, you think this is just a joke? It's like a movie. You turn it off when it's not happening. My friends, all of this adds to a lack of respect. And when you don't respect other people's boundaries on many levels, anything goes. Right? We teach our children to use their minds to solve problems with numbers. But my friends, did we teach them to apply his mind or their mind rather than their fists to solve problems with people? We teach our children anatomy. Did we teach them that a human being is more than just a sum of blood, guts, and bones? Or did we perhaps inadvertently teach them that the notion of a human soul has no place in the educated mind? The arguments whether we should eliminate the word God, I mean, on every dollar bill we have in God we trust. Fine, no one's asking you what to believe in, but there has to be a premise upon which... Why did America exist? Why did they rebel against the United Kingdom, Britain? Because they wanted religious freedom. So this is a place, the country, where welcomes everyone, and everyone can worship in their own way. But once we start to push yourself around, we're undermining the very, you could say, the soul of America. So we've taught him about laws and prisons. But did we teach him even to be smart? We may even be teaching them how to be smart, how not to get caught. But do we say that's wrong? Do we give our children a consciousness? Did we ever demonstrate to him that there are things that really matter in life? More than maths, more than just making a living, more than science, even more than niftiest of technology. Do we ever give him a chance to stop and think about himself, about his family, his life, about everything that bothers him in life? Is there a space and time for thinking about life in his school? And that's a problem. If the majority of the day of a young man and woman is spent in school, and during that time there's absolutely no time to think about more deeper things in life, except just about the information and all the other things that go on, we got a problem. And that's why the Rebbe, in response to the shooting of the President of the United States at that time, that was Ronald Reagan, advocated very vociferously that a moment of silence must be reintroduced into the school. And it works wonders. If you ask those who work in schools where it has been implemented, they will tell you that a moment of silence means that a child will go back home and ask their mom or dad, what should they think about? It means that a child will share with his teacher the troubles he's going through. It means the school becomes a place not just for a child's mind, but for his heart and his soul. Or take it from a 2013 report I read about a Moment of Silence program that was introduced at the Paul Robinson High School in Brooklyn. And the report was that after introducing this moment of silence, there was an ongoing transformative experience. Remember, dear friends, don't get nervous. The school will not tell the child what to think about, but it'll tell them to think. And if they have a problem what to think, it's up to the parents, you and me, to tell our children what to think about. Whether you want to be kinder, whether be helpful to somebody, or if you're religious, think about God. But the idea is to bring some soul into the environment. The moment of silence provides an opportunity to become more mindful and reflective of the experiences inside and outside of the classroom. The students have become more introspective. This is the report from a school, a public school in Brooklyn, and when they reported about the change it made on the students when they introduced this moment of silence. And it's on the books, by the way. It's on the books in many states. Just many states have chosen not to implement it or find other kinds of reasons not to implement it. But those schools that have implemented it and made it a must, so to speak, to start the day with a moment of silence, those students have become more introspective in their writing. They have got a greater appreciation, empathy, and understanding of their peers. Students have also gained a greater understanding of the educational objectives. And my friends, it's not just about having a degree, it's about being a mensch. We must think about these things. And, we appreciate everything that's going on here in the United States and giving us the opportunity. But a moral society demands a notion of an objective supreme judge, an eye that sees, an ear that hears, even if you don't get caught by the police or the media. When that notion is lost, so is America's soul. And that's when the madness begins. So a moment of silence doesn't impose prayer or belief in a creator on anyone. All it does, my friends, is opens the child's mind to search for meaning and hopefully for God's presence in this world. And there's a good chance the child will talk to the parents and grandparents and discover that they once had faith in their lives as well. So, my friends, we must do everything we can under these, and we must use our voices to heal America. And let America's schools nurture the humaneness of American children. Let children know the meaning of silence, just enough silence that they can hear their own hearts pounding inside. Let America have a soul again. And in our next 15 minutes of our program, again, we have the opportunity to please call in and make a donation at 516-572-7438. I'm pleading with you. I'm appealing with you. I am one of the volunteer hosts that come here every week and have the opportunity to discuss current ideas under the program Jewish Talk, and I appreciate it. I'm humbled by the trust of the station to allow me to come here. And this day was set aside by divine providence. It's just a week away from that terrible event in California, reminding us of the importance of doing good in this world, doing acts of goodness and kindness. And you have an opportunity, we all have an opportunity to make a donation right now to this station, 90.3 WHPC. Here's the number, 516-572-7438. And whatever amount of money is very much appreciated. And you can do it by credit card, and it's tax deductible, and it's just a good way of showing our appreciation. And that's what we need in this world. We need some appreciation. If young men and women have appreciation, they will know what's going on over here, that this is a world that has so much to offer for each other. And we, as elderly people, I don't want to date myself, but I appreciate the young men and women who work at 90.3 WHPC. I get a chance to meet them. I have a wonderful engineer, Kim, who's here all the time, makes sure that I sound good here, and she takes out all the negative words that I say. No, I'm just joking.
I started as a student.
You started a student here?
That's when I first met you. I was a student.
Does anybody know how long I've been at the station?
We're not going to say.
We're not going to say, right?
Because that dates me too. So.
All I can say is when I first came here, Kim, I had a black beard.
That is true.
That is true. So,
and I didn't have gray hair.
Oh, okay. So I must tell you this, that Hannah Kay, who was the 22-year-old daughter of Laurie Kay, who was murdered last week, she opened her funeral remarks with a quote from Nelson Mandela. What does she say? "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than the opposite." My friends, this 19-year-old killer learned to hate. Our homes and schools must begin to put a greater focus on teaching each and every single child about the gift of tolerance, respect of each other's boundaries, whether it's in verbal, on any level, and because the soul of America is crying for this. I wanted to share with you this. I came across this interesting question. You know, it's all about gratitude, and I want to thank all those who've called in, because everyone who's called in and made the donation reflects a sense of gratitude. Here was the question given. On the one hand, the person wrote, "I can see gratitude as a sign of faith, and it means that we acknowledge the involvement of God in our lives. But is faith required in order to be a grateful person? If all of us were grateful, we wouldn't have any anti-anything today in America or anywhere in the world if people were grateful. I think most of the acts perpetrated by anyone of any background, of any religion, is because they have empty lives themselves. And rather than looking in the mirror and look at themselves, see what they can do to make themselves a better person, it's much easier to put someone else down. And that's very, very selfish. And just being very kind is worse than that. So the question this person is faith required in order to become a grateful person? Don't all decent people say please and thank you? And I want to share with you a little answer here. You see, there is a subtle difference, yet profound difference, between the basic gratitude that any decent human being offers and the inspired gratitude of a person of faith. The difference is in which comes first, the please or the thank you. Every decent person will say please when making a request and thank you when the request is granted. That's not a sign of great virtue. That's just simple being a mensch, simple decency. You say, please give me something, and you say thank you. Faith, I posit, and spirituality challenges us to say thank you and then to say please. You hear the difference? You put the thank you before the please. We all, as I'm talking, dear friends, I'm getting pile after pile of people calling in with their donations, and people are being very, very generous. And the station says thank you to you. All the students say thank you to you. I say thank you. My friends, please, 516-572-7438. This is a chance today to do a good deed. So, what's the difference? Faith and spirituality challenge us to first say thank you and then to say please. What do you mean? Usually you say please give me something, then you say thank you. I'm suggesting that a person with faith puts the thank you before the please. We all begin our day with prayers and hope for a successful day. This doesn't necessarily make me a good person. Which state in the United States has the most prayer going on? Nevada. Why? At each slot machine, there's someone praying for a win. Ha, ha, ha. I'm praying right now for a win right now with your phone call, 516-572-7438. Oh, my Gewalt, I feel like I'm praying like crazy. The person of faith begins the day with loads of thanks, expressing gratitude for all the wonderful blessings already granted. Only afterwards will a person also request additional blessings. In fact, the Jewish prayer book opens with many pages of gratitude before making a request. So we make the thanks before the please. There's a story of a fellow who was running late to a business meeting in downtown Brooklyn and was having trouble finding a parking spot. What else was new? The meeting was very important to me. He didn't want to be late. After circling the block 7 times, he offered God a deal. Find me a spot and I'll begin to observe the Sabbath. I promise. At that very moment, the car pulled out immediately in front of him. Turning heavenward, he said, "Not to worry, I manage on my own." Everyone asks for blessings. The inspired person doesn't take for granted the blessings he or she already has. Now that's a virtue. Why doesn't the person of faith take blessings for granted? True faith is not merely the belief that the world has a creator we call God. Faith is the belief that the creator intimately is involved in my life in real time on a moment-to-moment basis. God is not merely a heavenly hand that can sometimes reach down and make magic happen. God is my creator, my best friend, my source of life, my minute-to-minute. He is with me all the time. I breathe because Hashem made me breathe. Each moment of breath of life. I think because I constantly bless me. God blesses me with wisdom. I succeed because God's hand. So, my success, our success, is Hashem's success. And therefore, in a time like this, we should be putting the thank you before. And if we fill our life with more thank yous before the pleases, that means it's not about entitlement. And I think a lot of things are missing in our world that we think we're entitled to so many things. And that's a very important problem. If a person is more filled with gratitude, he'll get certain things. He won't get everything. Sometimes God says no to us. But at the end of the day, gratitude, and I want to thank everybody who did show the gratitude this morning and continue to do that. It's not too late. The telephone lines are still open. They're not closing down, but at 516-572-7438, a chance for us to make a donation to help this great station and make sure that programs like this and all the other wonderful programs continue really to help young men and women know that there are people who care for them, encourage them, and support them. So, my friends, it's been exciting. I've been here since 8:30 in the morning till 10 a.m. Typically on a Sunday, we are heard at 8:30 a.m. till 9, and we're expanded this today to address the current issues of the day, what happened in Chabad Poway, and the broader lessons that we can learn on the world that we live in today. I mean, there's so many, and I would say there's 4 messages, a number of messages that we can learn after what happened last week, and of course, to include Jacqueline Francesca's presentation to us about the loss of her child through domestic violence and wrong prescription, and what, as you heard, what happened to a child who was murder-suicide of our own little daughter by the child's father. So I think the 4 messages today, after what's going on, we must not duck or fear. We must fight all kinds of anti-Semitism and anti-anything with every fiber of our being and not to tolerate any of it. We must nip it in the bud. We must not duck or maintain some low profile, but we must stand with full strength, with courage and pride. And we must, of course, all join up in our security levels, that's certainly. But we must also use our influence to revive the soul of this great nation. This is what United States of America is all about. A system, an education system that has a soul, morality, values, ethics, character. We must restore spiritual and moral purpose to our life as well in general. And we must plead with our leaders, enough already. Obviously, democratic way is to discuss and argue, but don't argue and discuss and create civility, because our children are watching. And we see the lack of respect in the top echelons of government or in any level of leadership, in the religious circles or anywhere. It all has an effect on the children. We can't just bombard them with all the programs and Netflix and everything else and imagine it's not having an effect on our children. And I believe a lot of the problems that we face today, when younger people will pick up all kinds of crazy ideas and even encourage or find themselves wanting to go to the dark side of the internet and all the other problems that we have, it's only because of the initial beginning. It's a slippery slope that begins with a lack of respect, a lack of soul, a lack of a higher authority. And so here we are, my friends, on a day like this. Our hearts go out, dedicated to the loving memory of Lori Kay, who was gunned down at the Chabad of Poway on April 27th, the last day of Passover. And of course, our blessings for a speedy recovery go to Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein and Almog Peretz and Noah Dahan, who were both wounded in the attack. And I'm just going to conclude with an important story. On the very same day that this terrible event took place in Chabad in Poway in California, a very great rabbi called the Kalev Rebbe passed away in Israel. And he was a Hasidic rabbi, and typically Hasidic people have beards. And you notice, go online, you see Kalev Rebbe, you'll notice he has long sideburns, the payas, but no beard. And why was that? Because he was one of Dr. Mengele's human guinea pigs. And all kinds of chemicals were applied to him, and then that prevented him from growing a beard, also left him unable to father children. And he eventually, thank God, was liberated out of Bergen-Belsen. But throughout his life, he always used to go around and talk about his story of survival. And he says that hours before the liberation of Bergen-Belsen, the Nazis were literally throwing Jews into a fire. He said he heard the Shema Yisrael being sung by a young boy, and he turned to God and said, "This will be my last Shema Yisrael, but if you let me live, I will say the Shema, not before I die, but to those who are living." So for the next 75 years, he kept his promise. Wherever he would go, he would tell everybody about his agreement with the Almighty God, and he would declare Shema Yisrael with all of those gathered. So whatever event that he gathered, this was his opening line, Shema Yisrael. And over the decades, he would said this thousands of times to thousands of gatherings. And this Shema became his anthem, his revenge, so to speak, and his message to the world. And so, dear friends, all of us know we have something that we must learn from what's going on over here. And the Kalev Rebbe was a living embodiment of that Shema Yisrael. And when I heard Rabbi Goldstein, the rabbi of Chabad of Poway, he screamed the word Shema Yisrael. He said those very same words on CNN. And I knew that our Shema Yisrael will never, ever die. It only becomes stronger. And may Hashem bless us that all the entire world will eventually declare these special words, when the whole world will be at peace with the coming of the redemption, the coming of Mashiach, when the entire world, all of us, will recognize the importance, how all of us are created in the image of Hashem, and how much each of us can bring to the equation, to bring to this great world, a beautiful world. God is not, this is not a jungle. It'll never be a jungle. And we look forward to not apocalypses and destruction, but good things that all of us, through our increasing our goodness and kindness. So I want to say a special thank you to everybody who joined us. I appreciate everyone, and we'll personally thank you for that. And this is Rabbi Pearl, and I'd like to conclude with the words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Have a good month. Thank you, everybody. Until next week, Shalom. Thank you.